seen that cool looking glass effect, kind of blurry, that's been everywhere for the past few years? It's called Glassmorphism. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to achieve that effect and then also how to animate it in SVGator. I'm also going to show you how to export it so we can use it on landing pages. So let's go. All right, so this is what we're going to be working on today. As you can see, we have these 4 glassmorphic icons, and each one of them is set to start animating on hover. So as you can see, when the mouse hovers over them, the animation starts, and then as you move the mouse away from it, the animation is set to reverse. So this is a setting in SVGator's export window, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that and what settings you're going to need to use for this type of export. So this is going to be a 3-step process. So I'm going to teach you first how to make the glassmorphic effect. Then we're going to do this quick up and down and scale up animation. And then I'm going to show you how to export it. So I don't have time to teach you exactly how to make all 4 icons, but it's going to be exactly the same process for all 4. But for this example, let's just work on this trail maps icon. So let's go here to SVGator. And this is actually a very simple process. And we only have a few layers here. So I have my map layer or group. And I have my trail group, which is basically this little road here. I have my pin location icon. And I also have my map glass background, which is basically the glass panel. And for this one, the important thing here that you need to keep in mind is that for the actual glassmorphic effect, which is basically a blur effect, to be visible, this one is to have a gradient or like a certain opacity to it. So this one is a white gradient that goes from 80 to 10 in opacity. And so it's basically white. And then it also has a gradient in its stroke. So it kind of gives it like that glass looking effect in its stroke. And then we also have the actual colored map, this colored layer in the background. So that one's just a rectangle. So the first thing that I want to do here is duplicate my map glass background. So I'm going to select it, Command C or Control C and Command V. And I'm going to close this right here. And I'm also going to duplicate my colored map. And for now, I just want to keep this one hidden. So I'm just going to turn it off. And then I'm going to select my color map. And then I'm also going to select my map glass background. And then I'm going to create a clipping path. Then I'm going to rename my clip group. So this is going to be my blurred effect group. So I'm just going to call this blur effect. And inside of this one, I'm just going to select my color map layer. And then all the way down here, I just want to go here to filters, making sure that I'm selecting my color map. And then I'm going to add a filter. So it's going to be the first one in the list, which is blur. And then the only setting here is spread. And then we're going to go, we can input a number or we can go up with the arrow keys. And we're just going to go up to whatever number makes sense. So in this case, I think 4. I think I like 4 and maybe 4 and 4. I think it looks good in this case. We can always come back and change it if that's not enough or if that's too much. So I'm just going to keep 4 and 4 for now. And I think that's looking pretty good for now. So I'm just going to close my group here. And then I'm going to turn this one back on. So at this point, this is bad news because I'm losing my effect. But obviously, if I don't have this, I'm missing half of my actual shape here. So we need to fix this somehow, right? So what I'm gonna do to fix this is I'm going to make another copy of my map glass background here. And I'm gonna put it again on top of my color map here. So I'm just gonna send this to the back. I'm gonna close my blur effect again. And then I'm just gonna group these two, so the map and the map glass background, just to keep things organized. And I'm going to call this one maybe map group. Whatever makes sense to you, you can call it. And then I'm gonna make the same thing again. So I'm gonna select my map glass background and my color map, and then I'm gonna create another clipping path. So this one's going to be, maybe we can call it colored background. In this case, instead of selecting the color map, I'm actually going to select inside this clipping path folder. I'm going to select the map glass background. And what needs to happen here is that I need to kind of like modify the actual mask here. But to do that, I actually need to convert this into a path. So I can do convert to path right here. And then to be able to modify that, we need to make sure that we are in the node tool. So you can either come here to this little menu or hit A. So with that selected there, we can see that we're gonna see the nodes here. So we can select the ones here in the bottom, and then we can pull them all the way up just like that. And then we're gonna start seeing that the shape in the bag is actually visible now. So then we can start modifying that shape there. So I can kind of like deselect it and then start selecting the actual nodes that I need to modify this shape here. So I'm just gonna move it, making sure that I don't really need to create new nodes. I can just work with the ones I have, making sure that this one is right in the line here, because if I don't put it right in the line, I'm gonna see something weird like that. So let's just make sure that that is right in the line with the shape right there, with the glass panel. And then I'm just gonna move this one down and then this one to the right. And then maybe just move this one down a little bit, just like that. That way we already have that glassmorphic effect in place, which, you know, that one, that took like, what, like 5 minutes? Now, that's very easy. So with SVGator, we can make that effect very easily. So like I said before, we can always go back to our blur effect layer right here in the color map. And then if that is too much, we can always say, maybe I want that to be 3 or 3 and 3, maybe, or a little bit more. That's always going to be your decision, whatever you want to do, whatever makes sense, depending on what you're working with. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then we're going to move on to making the animation now. Okay, so the animation, like I said before, is just going to be basically the glass panel moving up and down, and then the whole thing scaling up slightly. So for that, we just need to make sure that we are selecting all of the layers that make up our glass panel. So I'm going to select the map group, and then I'm going to open my different folders here, and I'm going to select the map glass background here, and then the map glass background as well in the color background folder. I can test that that's actually selecting everything. So that's working right there. We need to make sure that we don't move it too much beyond the actual clipping path here, so it doesn't, you know, stop showing the color background there. We can always modify that clipping path if it's not enough for our animation. So, you know, we can always do that. But let's see if we don't actually need to do that. So I'm just going to extend our timeline section here, and I'm gonna add a position animation. And I actually want this to start around half a second here. I'm gonna select everything again, and I'm gonna go forward to 1 second. I'm gonna hit shift and hold it, and then I'm gonna move it up with the arrow keys 3 times. 1, 2, 3, everything's moving. And then I'm gonna go forward to 1.5 seconds, and then down 1, 2, 3. And then the same process, 1, 2, 3. You can copy and paste the keyframes if you want, 1, 2, 3. But in this case, this is so easy that I'm just gonna do it manually. And it's only a few times that I'm doing it. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. And this is gonna end at 3.5 seconds. So it's just gonna go like that, up and down a few times. And that's it. Now, the other thing that this is going to do is scale up slightly. Before I do that, I do want to add a little bit of an ease.
So let's do easy now quad. So it adds a little bit of a bounce. Yeah, just like that. And then I just want to make sure that the whole thing is grouped up in a whole, like in one folder, so we can select the whole thing. And I'm just gonna add a scale animation here from 0 to 0.5 second. I'm gonna add another keyframe, and then we're gonna go here to scale, and it's gonna go from 1.5 to 1.25 to 1.5. So let's see what that looks like. You go a little bit out, and yeah, and then I can do the same again. So I'll add a little bit of an ease, maybe ease in, something like that. And yeah, that's looking good. So like I said, this is a very easy and quick animation. So what I really want to show you here is how to export it to, so it looks like the example that I showed you. So at this point, I do want to save the progress to make sure we don't lose it. And now let's go ahead and export. So I do want to export it. This is going to be an SVG, of course, for web. So I do want to export it in two different ways. So the two things that I want you to pay attention to is going to be the animation start. So this is going to be on mouse over, and then on mouse out, I'm going to export it two different ways too. So on mouse out, I'm going to export it in reset, and then I'm going to export it in reverse. So in reverse is going to be the actual way that I want to, like the whole point of this is going to be on reverse, but I want to show you the difference. So the one thing that I'm also going to include here is the canvas color. Usually you would set that in CSS if you were working on your landing page, or in this case, I want to put this in the browser just to show you in this example. So the first one that I'm going to do here is going to be on mouse out reset. So I'm going to go ahead and export that, and I'm going to put it here in the browser, and then I'm going to go ahead and do export again, and then I'm going to change on mouse out to reverse. So I'm going to do export again, and then I'm going to do the same here, and I'm going to put it here in the browser. So the first one here, this is set to reset. So when I put my mouse over it, the animation starts, and then when my mouse leaves, the animation very abruptly ends, and it goes back to the first frame, and it's just very abrupt. Like, it's not very smooth at all, and it doesn't look as nice. We see the Glassmorphic effect and everything, but it goes back to the first frame no matter what. Okay, so that's the first, that's reset. Okay, and then this one is set to reverse. So say the animation plays for 1 second. Remember, this is a 3.5 second animation. So say it plays for 1 second, and since we have set the animation to reverse on mouse when the mouse leaves the actual icon here, what happens is that the animation is set to reverse. So we kind of like go back to the first frame very smoothly. So if you ask me, this is very smooth, and this is such a small little detail. If you're making a landing page and you add an icon like this, I think it is a small detail to add to your landing page experience, but I think it can make such a huge difference. It's just nice. I think it adds to the experience and makes things so nice and smooth. So obviously, we have all kinds of different options here for when to start, what to do when the mouse leaves. There's gonna be different use cases for when to use all these different settings. In this case, I think this is what makes sense. So yeah, I think, I definitely encourage you to experiment with all of these settings, and I can't wait to see what you can create with SVGator and all of these different export settings. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and encourage you again to experiment, create with SVGator, and show us your designs and your creations.
And that is how we have created a very quick Glassmorphism effect in SVGator that looks perfect. And we have also animated it. I encourage you to use this for any of your projects and any icons or illustrations that you may have. and also use the same export settings to use for your icons for your landing pages. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to this channel. We'll see you on the next one.